to Python for Data Science tutorial on Fulcrum. This session is on Python variables and data types. So let's get started. What are variables? Variables are containers for storing data values. Or you could say that a variable is a name given to a memory location. It's a basic unit of storage in a program. A variable is created at the moment you first assign a value to it. And unlike other programming languages like C++, you do not need to declare or specify the type of the variable that you're going to use prior to it. You just have to assign the value, and depending upon what kind of value you assign to your variable, the variable will take that type. So there is no need of prior declaring your variable. So a variable is an identifier. The variable name is an identifier. So all the rules that we spoke in the previous session with respect to creating an identifier is applicable for the variable naming also. So you have to stick on to those rules. So let's see the Python notebook, how we create a variable. So let me use a variable name, say A. The moment I assign a value to it, A is now a variable. That is, it's a named memory location where I'm storing the data 12. So if I run this cell and if you type A, you could see the output here, it is 12. Means A is holding a value of 12. Let's create one more variable, say B. Let's assign this with some floating value. Means with some decimal values stored. So those kind of data are called as floating values. We'll see the data types soon. Let's create one more variable, C. Let's assign this with a string. So let's call it as, say, Fulcrum. So now we have created three variables. You could say that A, B and C are three variables. A is holding an integer entity, B is holding a floating value and C is holding a string. Now, how do you display these variables, the content of these variables? You could make use of the print function. So how do we do that? Let's say if you want to print. So use the function print, and as an argument you can specify the name of the variable whose content you're trying to print. So if I say print A, the output will be 12. Whatever the content this variable A holds, that will be displayed. Same way if you want to print B, you could say print B. So if you run this, you could see the output here. It is holding the value of 12.2. Same way you could give print C. This will print the content of C. C holds a string Fulcrum and that is display. So this is how you create a variable. You could modify the contents of your variable by reassigning it with a new value. For example, if I say A is equal to 12. Right? So the content of A right now is 12. I'm going to reassign it with a new value, say 200. So after reassigning with a new value of 200, you could see the content of A is now updated with the new value. So you could modify the values of your variables in the program execution. Now let's see how we assign a single value to multiple variables. So we are going to assign single value to multiple variables. So any line proceeding with this hash symbol is treated as a comment in Python. So if you want to comment, use the hash symbol. So this will not be executed. This is for documentation part. So we are going to assign a single value to multiple variables. So suppose say we have three variables A, B and C, and we want all these three variables to hold a single value, say 10. How do we do that? We'll say A equal to B equal to C equal to 10. This statement will make the variables A, B and C hold the value 10. Now how do we check? You could make use of the print statement to check the values of A, B and C. Yeah, you could see the output as 10, 10 and 10. That is, A holds a value of 10, B 10 and C 10. So all the three different variables holds a single value 10. Now what we are going to do is, we are going to assign multiple values to different variables. That is, we will make A, B and C hold different values. That is, we will say A, B, C equal to, we will start assigning three different values. Let's say 10. Now we'll make use of the float value and we will assign some string as well. Let's say tut fulcrum. So this will make the variables A, B and C hold the values 10, 12.33, tut fulcrum respectively. Let's use the print and verify whether they are holding the same values. Yeah, we could see the output. The first output is 10, which is the value of A. Now B holds the value 12.33 and C holds the string tut fulcrum. Let me ask you a question here. Can I use the same variable name for holding different data types? That is, say for example, can we have something like this? The variable A is initially holding a value of 12. In the next statement, I made A to hold a string. Will this work? Let's execute and verify our output. Yes, it's possible. It worked fine without throwing any errors. So then, what will be the content of the variable A? Will it hold 12? Will it hold the string Python tutorial, or will it hold both? Anyway, it's not possible to hold both values, right? So let's see. Let's use the print and then check our output. Yes, it's holding the value Python tutorial. So why? Because the string was the latest updated value assigned to the variable A. So it's holding the latest updated value and hence it is giving us the output Python tutorial. So this is about variables. Now let's see about the data types in Python. Data types are a very important concept in programming languages. They represent the kind of data that we are handling and it tells us what kind of operations we can perform on the data. So in this session, we are going to discuss about the numeric data types in Python. So what are the numeric data types available in Python? We have integer data. So integer data are handled using the data type int. So integer data in the sense they could be positive and negative whole numbers. Say for example 10, 20, minus 30. All these are integer entities and these are handled using the data type int. Floating data, that is the data with decimal values, are handled using the data type float. For example 3.35, 100.183. All these are floating type. So such kinds of data are handled using the data type float. You also have a data type complex to handle the complex numbers in Python. So what are complex numbers? They have a real part as well as an imaginary part. For example, if I say 3 plus 4j, 3 is representing the real part and 4 is representing the imaginary part. So those kinds of data are handled using the complex data type in Python. Let's make use of the Python notebook to see how these data types are represented or handled. So say for example, we have seen that assigning a value to a variable. So a is equal to 10. If you want to check the data type of a, you could make use of the function type. So if you say type of a, you're getting the output as int. Means a is holding an integer entity. Same way, if you say a is equal to 12.2 and if you check the type of a, this will give you the output as float because a is assigned with a floating value 12.2. So floating values are handled making use of the data type float in Python. Same way if you had any complex data. So if I assign a with say 2 plus say 3g, right? And if you check the type of a, this will give you the output as complex, means a is holding a complex data. You could do the typecasting operations as well here. Now what is this typecasting? Changing one data type to another. For example, let's say a is holding an integer entity. We have verified this. If you check the type of a, it is giving you integer. Right? Suppose if you want to typecast this integer entity to a float type, right? How would you do the typecasting operation? Let's say, let me use a new variable b to hold the typecasted value. So we will say float. That's the new data type to which you are converting your data. And then you will specify the data that you are intending to typecast. So here it is a, the integer entity. Now what happens in this statement? B is equal to float of a. A is an integer entity. This gets converted to float type and the result is held to a variable b. So now if you check the type of b, you will get the output as float. Let's verify. Yes, you are getting this as float. This is indicating the type of b, which is float. That is, we have typecasted the integer entity a to a float type. Now, how will these data looks like? Let's use a print statement and check what the contents of a and b is. So you could see the output here, it is 12 and 12.0. So 12 is the integer data and 12.0 is the float data. So like this, you could do the typecasting between any data types. So this is about the variables and the numeric data types in Python. We'll continue with the data types in the next session. Thank you so much for watching. Please do like, share, comment and subscribe, and please don't forget to tap the bell icon. You'll get notified whenever we upload a new videos. Thank you.